Mayor, you're muted. Mayor, you're muted.
Testing. I apologize to the public. We're having technical difficulties. Commissioners, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to try this one more time. I will now call this meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Roll call: Kane.
Here.
Markley.
Here.
Stites.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Bynum.
Here.
Burrough.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Ramirez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Garner.
Here. Thank you. The invocation is being given by Commissioner Harold Johnson of Faith Deliverance Church of God in Christ, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Commissioner,
You're muted.
Commissioner Johnson, you are muted. If you could unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we greet you this evening and we invoke your presence, your wisdom, and your direction. Thank you for allowing us to see a new year. We pray that you will protect our citizens from the hands of this evil plague, COVID-19. Bless those persons helping to keep our homeless citizens warm during the winter months. By your spirit, cover our first responders as they rush into harm's way to save our citizens. Grant that our mayor and this commission have ears to listen to the citizens we serve. Give us wisdom to act in the name of justice for all Wyandotte Countyans. Bless us with all of your graces and all that we do, let it be for your glory. These things we pray in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To
to the
the flag of the
United States of
America,
to the republic,
to the republic for
stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Commissioner Johnson, for providing the invocation this evening. I'll ask the clerk if there are any revisions to tonight's agenda.
Mayor, yes, there were. A blue sheet was issued. We have a new item number 1, modifying the mayor's agenda. It was issued for tonight regarding a proclamation recognizing Dr. Bernard Johnson Day. We also had a new item number 2, renaming Nebraska Avenue between 7th and 8th Street to Pandarama Lane to celebrate the legacy of the positive impact of the Pandarama preschool for the last 25 years. We also had our original item number 1 on the mayor's agenda, adopting a resolution appointing an interim county administrator, now being moved to item number 3 on the mayor's agenda. And the last item was the original item number 2 on the administrator's agenda, considering ordinances for the potential stormwater rate structures, has been removed at the request of Mayor Garner. That includes all the changes on tonight's blue sheet, Mayor.
Thank you. Tonight, we have 2 distinct parts to our meeting. The planning and zoning portion will be handled first, followed by the regular commission meeting. I'll ask that the clerk to read the statement required by state law governing the planning and zoning portion of our meeting, followed by the item on the planning and zoning consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. We would like to welcome all present to this meeting of the Unified Government Commission. Members of the commission are Mayor, CEO Tyrone Garner, Commissioner Melissa Bynum, at-large District 1, Commissioner Tom Burrows, at-large District 2, Commissioner Gayle Townsend, District 1, Commissioner Brian McKiernan, District 2, Commissioner Christian Ramirez, District 3, Commissioner Harold Johnson, District 4, Commissioner Mike Kane, District 5, Commissioner Angela Markley, District 6, Commissioner Chuck Stites, District 7, and Commissioner Andrew Davis, District 8. As each petition is called, all persons for or against will be given the opportunity to express their views. If this is the first time that a particular petition has been before the commission has three options. Option 1, it can approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission with 6 votes. Option 2, it can override the Planning Commission's recommendation, but it would take 8 votes to override. Option 3, it can return the matter to the Planning Commission for further consideration together with a statement specifying the reasons for the referral back to the Planning Commission. The consent agenda is the first part of the planning and zoning agenda. Items on the consent agenda have received a unanimous vote of recommendation by the Planning Commission. Unless there is a request to set aside an item from the consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the public, the Unified Government Commission, or others, then the Planning Commission's recommendation on all of the items of the consent agenda will be adopted by the Unified Government Commission at one time. I will read the list of agenda items on the consent agenda, and when I have completed the list, the mayor will ask if there are any requests to set aside items from the consent agenda. This is your time to stand up and request that an item may be set aside if you do not agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation. If you contacted the UG Clerk's office, that item will be set aside by the UG Clerk on your behalf. If an item is set aside, the matter will be discussed and voted on separately. All items not set aside will be approved with the Planning Commission's recommendation. We appreciate the attendance of those people here this evening, and we recognize the importance of each petition. We would, however, remind you that there are a number of items on the agenda, and we would appreciate your efforts to make your remarks as concise as possible. We ask that anyone with a cell phone to please turn them off or switch them to non-audio so you will not disturb the meeting. Once the petitioner makes their presentation, anyone for or against will be allowed the maximum 3 minutes to state their views. This is your time to raise your hand. When your name is called, please state your name and city for the record. The mayor and commission are required to disclose contacts with proponents or opponents on any item on the planning and zoning agenda. At this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contact with proponents or opponents on any item on the agenda?
Do any commissioners have disclosures?
Commissioner McKiernan.
Commissioner McKiernan?
Thank you. I've had contact with proponents and opponents of SP 2021-082.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bynum?
Contact with proponents and opponents of SP 2021-082.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Markley?
Thanks, Mayor. I've had contact with opponents of change of zone application 2021-004.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you. I've had proponents and opponents contact with COZ 2021-052.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I've had of contact with opponents and proponents of SP 2021-082.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Burrows.
Commissioner Burrows, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I've already disclosed. I should have lowered my hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will now read the items on the consent agenda. Planning and zoning consent agenda, item number 1, resolution, an extension of a moratorium on enforcement of murals within residential zoning districts. A request for consideration of extending the moratorium on enforcement of pre-existing murals prohibited within certain zoning districts. Item number 2 is a resolution extending certain sections of the Code of Ordinances in conjunction with COVID-19. Consideration of extending the suspension of certain sections of Chapter 27, Planning and Zoning, and Chapter 32 of the Code of Ordinances in conjunction with COVID-19 emergency ordinances passed by the Unified Government Board of Commissioners. Change of zone applications. COZ 2021-004 Mark Cross with Crossroad Trucking LLC. Change of zone from R1 Single Family and CPO Plan Non-Retail Business District to CP1 Plan Limited Business District for a single family residence and accessory structures at 7331 Holiday Drive. COZ 2021-029 Weston Sparks with Ride Forever Skate Park. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to CP3 Plan Commercial District to convert a warehouse to a skate park school at 230 South 65th Street. COZ 2021-037 Eric Fletcher. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to R3 Townhouse District to bring the existing non-conforming triplex into compliance at 4461 Eaton Street. Recommended for approval to RP3 Planned Townhouse District. COZ 2021-039 Joe Pringer with an A&J Freedom Properties LLC. Change of zone from R1 to Single Family District to T&D Traditional Neighborhood District for an existing non-conforming 3-unit residential building at 3159 Orville Avenue. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-040 Lorenzo Garcia. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District for agricultural uses at 3740 North 35th Street. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-041 John Simpson with BHC Roads. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to CPO Plan Non-Retail Business District to split office from cemetery property at 1150 North 38th Street. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-043 Sherry Gayle with Friendship Inn. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to R3 Townhouse District for a 17-unit building for Friendship Inn for family members and guests of patients at the University of Kansas Health Systems at 4403 Rainbow Boulevard. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-045 Gilberto Gonzalez Guerrero. Change of zone from C1 Limited Business District to C3 Commercial District to accommodate a used car dealership with light repair and maintenance at 7512 Leavenworth Road. Recommended for approval to CP3 Planned Commercial District. COZ 2021-046 Matt Aldrich with Joco Capital One LLC. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to R2 Two Family District for 2 living units at 4108 Adams Street. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-049 Teresa Christopher. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District for agricultural purposes at 2000 South 49th Street. Recommended for approval. COZ 2021-052 Cole Anderson with Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. Change of zone to revise the hours of operation conditional of approval of COZ 2021-018 at 1625 South 86th Street. Recommended for approval. Special use permit applications, SP 2021-059 Morteza Garabi. Special use permit to keep approximately 50 chickens at 4621 Swartz Road. Recommended for approval for 20 chickens for 2 years. SP 2021-071 Jessica Betts. Special use permit for a short-term rental at 749 Locust Street. Recommended for approval for 1 year. SP 2021-073 Daniel Castillo with Manor Records. Special use permit for a drinking establishment with live entertainment and a record store at 401 North 6th Street. Recommended for approval for 2 years. SP 2021-074 Sherry Gayle with Friendship Inn. Special use permit for a 17-unit building for Friendship Inn and family members, guests, and patients of the University of Kansas Health System at 4403 Rainbow Boulevard. Recommended for approval for 2 years. SP 2021-075 Pearl A. King. Renewal of a special use permit for a restaurant or drinking establishment with live entertainment at 812 South 12th Street. Recommended for approval for 5 years. SP 2021-076 Matt Aldrich with Joco Capital One LLC. Special use permit for a short-term rental at 4108 Adams Street. Recommended for approval for 1 year. SP 2021-079 Gilberto Gonzalez Guerrero. Special use permit to accommodate a used car dealership with light repair and maintenance at 7512 Leavenworth Road. Recommended for approval for 2 years. SP 2021-082 Kevin Bentley with Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas. Special use permit for a group home program with gardens and greenhouse for training and office gardening space for a new roots program at 2601 Ridge Avenue. Recommended for approval for 2 years. Vacation applications, VAC 2021-010 Amy Struther. Vacation of right-of-way at 4600 Park Avenue. Recommended for approval. Plan review applications, PR 2021-035 Brandon Sisk with with UGBPU. Preliminary and final plan review for BPU Water Argentine Reservoir reconstruction at 1801 South 14th Street, recommended for approval. Master plan amendments, MPL 2021-017, Mark Cross with Crossroads Trucking. Master plan amendment for low-density residential to neighborhood commercial, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-018, Weston Sparks with Ride Forever Skate Park. Master plan amendment from low-density residential to community commercial, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-021, Eric Fletcher. Master plan amendment from single-family residential to general urban, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-023, Sherry Gade with Friendship Inn. Master plan amendment from urban mixed use to general urban at 4403 Rainbow Boulevard, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-027, Matt Aldrich with Joco Capital One. Master plan amendment from single family to general urban at 4108 Adams Street, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-029, John Simpson with BHC Roads. Master plan amendment from public semi to public to community commercial at 1150 North 38th Street, recommended for approval. MPL 2021-030, John Pranger with A&J Freedom Properties. Master plan amendment from urban density to mixed use at 3159 Orville Avenue, recommended for approval. Miscellaneous ordinances, an ordinance rezoning property at 3600 Rainbow Boulevard from RP5 planned apartment district to RP6 planned high-rise apartment, recommended for approval. An ordinance rezoning property at 2211 North 13th Street from CO non-retail business district to RP2 planned 2 family district, recommended for approval. An ordinance authorizing a special use permit for liquor sales in conjunction with a convenience store and gas station at 8537 State Avenue, recommended for approval. And an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a dog daycare at 2021 South 22nd Street, recommended for approval. That represents all of the items on tonight's P and Z consent agenda, Mayor.
Does any member of the commission, the county administrator, or public wish to set aside any item on the planning and zoning consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the planning and zoning consent agenda will be voted on by one vote to follow the recommendation of the planning commission. At this time, I'll ask the clerk if he's received any requests from the public to set aside an item.
No request were received, Mayor.
I'll ask the clerk if anyone joining virtually has their hands raised to set aside an item.
Seeing one person.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the special use for the group home with gardens and greenhouse at 2601 Ridge Avenue.
Okay.
What else? Am I supposed to say something else?
No, why don't you hold on that?
Okay.
Mayor,
Come
that
back
is
to you.
SP 2021-082, I believe. Is it a special use permit listed there?
We've captured that for you. Is there anyone else? I will entertain a motion for approval of the planning and zoning consent agenda excluding the set aside.
Commissioner Ramirez, District 3, move to approve all items as submitted.
Commissioner Davis, second.
There's a second, there's a motion and a second for approval. Roll call, clerk, please.
Roll call. Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrough.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to the set aside item. I'll ask the clerk to provide the set aside number.
Mayor, that item is SP 2021-082, Kevin Bentley with Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas.
I'll ask staff to make some opening comments or remarks if available.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Before you was SP 2021-082, Kevin Bentley with Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas. This is a property located in the central area. It has a long history of being a group of very different types. It's been a solarium in the past. It's been a senior living center in the past. The request tonight is a group home, I believe, for homeless individuals. There is a safety plan associated with this proposal. We have asked the applicant to do various site cleanups, and alleviate a couple of notices of violation to the site. There is a tandem application with this proposal as well. The applicant wanted to move forward with the group home first. If approved, they're going to come back for a couple of variances. There's multiple accessory structures on this property, and other uses that they want to put together so that they can have a greenhouse and garden. So the greenhouse and the gardening is not a part of this proposal. This is simply just to see the group home. There have been there have been some old notices of violation, again, that we're trying to clean up right through this planning process. There was some opposition at the City Planning Commission. There was also some support. Staff recommends approval for 2 years.
Thank you. I'll ask the applicant or a representative of the applicant to present their application. If you're available, please state your name and address for record. If no applicant or an applicant sorry. Go ahead if you're available.
Are you talking to the one that set it aside or or Kevin Bentley?
I'm talking to the person that presented the application.
Kevin Bentley, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My address is 17554 West 158th Street in Olathe. And I am representing Catholic Charities. We plan to relocate our Shalom House, transition housing, and our New Roots farm training programs to this location on Ridge Avenue. Shalom House has been in operation for more than 40 years in KCK, but near 13th and Parallel. Initially, it was a temporary refuge for men who were experiencing homelessness. But when Catholic Charities took it over, we shifted the program to what it is today. And it's a transitional living program to help men stabilize and men who would otherwise end up homeless and move them into permanent housing. As we've outgrown that site and it's no longer suitable for our full programming and our full wraparound case management that we provide there, we needed to look for a new place. In addition, New Roots is a farm training skill program for newly settled refugees who have already been placed into permanent housing. Previously, that program operated at Juniper Gardens, which, as you know, is set to close. Catholic Charities and this particular property at Ridge Avenue are both uniquely situated to meet both of these program needs. With over 25 acres, our farm training can be conducted on site. The building is large, includes 31 individual guest rooms. It's served as a sanitarium, as a nursing home, and most recently as a retreat center. There's parking for 35 cars. There's a kitchen, dining, recreation, and meeting space already in place, situated perfectly for our purpose. Here we can serve up to 60 men at the site versus 24 that we served at the previous site. However, our plans are for a very slow ramp up as we want to maintain the quality of our services and maintain our high success rate instead of just adding numbers to our program. We have the resources and we intend to invest over $2 million to refresh and repair this property. We have the programming and community partnerships in place to support the participants and residents' needs. In the end, the site will provide full case management wraparound services for the men at Shalom and will continue to partner on the continuum of care in the county in support of these individuals. With a 90% success rate in the program, we'll be able to serve many, many more men at this location and keep them from adding to the homeless population. I'd like to close with some details that we shared with our community at our neighborhood meeting and at the previous meeting about the program. First of all, we are aligned with the citywide master plan. This supports economic development, preservation of historic structures and natural habitat. And those are just but a few of the many elements that are aligned. And it requires no amendments to the citywide master plan. Our referrals for Shalom come to us from programs, our own programs and other agencies, not walk-offs off the street. There's no walk-up admission nor a dinner bell that rings at the end of the day for area homeless. Participants are residents and this is their home. We do conduct background checks, mental health screenings, and full social service assessment as part of our intake for all of our residents. Our program centers around safety, the safety of the neighborhood, as well as the men who live there. The many years that we've run the current site, we've not had any reported issues. And recently we received an endorsement by a KCK police officer who recounted that 0 issues were encountered by her in her 20-year patrol of the neighborhood. We will have awake staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with our security system, which incorporates cameras, alarms, and controlled access points. With our increased security and our cleanup of the property and our walking trails, we actually envision improvements to this neighborhood. On the call with me are CEO Lauren Salidum, our Chief Mission Officer Denise Ogilvie, Senior Director of Mission Nelson Vowles, and our Shalom Program Manager Tanisha Williams, to be able to answer any questions you may have about our agency or our programs. We think that you'll find, similar to last month's City Planning Commission meeting, where we had supporters outnumbering those who were opposed by 6 to 1, that we have widespread support in the community. And we ask that you approve our special use permit as recommended. And we thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing and ask the clerk if he's received any direct notifications from the public who wish to express their comments in favor of this item.
Mayor, we have not.
Is there anyone joining us virtually who would like to speak in favor of?
Yes, Mayor, we do have some.
Okay. If so, please raise your hand to be acknowledged. Once acknowledged, you may state your name and address for record. You will be given up to 3 minutes to state your comments.
First speaker.
Ms. Sparks,
Matt Watson, please.
sorry. Stand by, we're having some difficulties.
Our first speaker is Matt.
Matt, if you would proceed.
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, you can go ahead. Mr. Watkins, thank you.
Thank you all, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Matt Watkins, 4023 North 111th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66109. I come tonight in support of Shalom House and Catholic Charities. This is a vital program that is I would call it a gold standard for our continuum of care here in the metro. It doesn't get much better when you have an organization like Catholic Charities that's well-funded, incredibly compassionate, and working hard to make sure that our community stays safe, and works through that by administering through a lot of different programs. One of the programs is Shalom House, and just like any other business that would want to expand in the community, I think we ought to offer them a hand up and a hand out to make sure that this continues. The success of this program is vital in the single man homelessness portion of the continuum, and I don't think it's any different than asking a successful business to expand and do their work here in Wyandotte County. I think we should be willing to offer them this kind of approval, and I hope this is a step in the right direction for other agencies who do spend time and money in Wyandotte County to expand their programs as well. So I think approving this is a right step in that direction, and hopefully will lead others to this as well. So again, I'm here in support of the Shalom House and Catholic Charities. Thank you all.
Clerk, is there anyone else virtually?
Our next speaker is Casey Featherstone.
Casey Featherstone, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. You have up to 3 minutes.
Great. My name is Casey Featherston. I'm a resident of Wyandotte County at 246 North 20th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66102. And I just wanted to speak in favor of this project as a resident that lives nearby. I think this is an incredible opportunity to create transformational change in our community. I think Catholic Charities provides wraparound services that will help lift many men out of poverty and change the trajectory of their lives. I think I'm very excited about the New Roots for Refugee program, expanding their programming there, creating more small businesses in our community, fresh produce for our neighbors. So I'm very much in favor of this project and would like to, share my support tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. The next person.
Our next speaker is John Schneiders.
Mr. Snyder, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You have up to 3 minutes. You can proceed.
Thank you for hearing my comments, and I won't be nearly as articulate as the two people that spoke before me, but I do want to speak in favor of Shalom House. My wife and I and my family regularly do outreach to the homeless. There is a desperate need in our community for compassionate and caring services to the homeless. This program that Catholic Charities has had over many, many years, and I think Mr. Watkins very articulately called Catholic Charities and their programs and this program the gold standard. I think that is so true. Very well operated and managed, and it has a proven track record of helping these men come out of poverty and to enter back into society in a manner that is fantastic. And so I do want to speak in favor of this, and thank you. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you, Clerk.
We have two more.
Our next speaker is Therese Bangert.
Ms. Bankert, are you available?
Yes, Sister Therese Bangert, 424 North 15th Street, 66102 in KCK.
Thank you. You have up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
I want to join all the previous remarks and add that the 25 years that I've lived in Kansas City, Kansas, I note how proud we are of our faith communities, our strong faith communities. And so for me, our belief in caring for the least of these will be witnessed by this place. And I appreciate Catholic Charities taking this on to offer healing for those who, for whatever reasons, are struggling in their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Therese. Clerk.
The next speaker is Elsie Gates.
Ms. Gates, are you there?
Yes, this is Larry Gates. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Catholic Charities, and I would just support the other speakers previous and also add that there's an extraordinary need across the metropolitan area for.
Excuse me,
affordable
Mr.
housing.
Gates. I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you would, could you state your full name and address for record? And you have up to 3 minutes.
Very good. My name's Larry Gates. I live at 9842 Rosewood in Kansas City, or in Overland Park. And my comments are simple, that we support the other speakers and also add that there is an enormous need across the metropolitan area for affordable housing, and this expands a very successful program. And I've been privy to watch the planning and the significant effort by Catholic Charities to make this a success. And I have been to the property, and I do believe that the neighborhood will see a very substantial upgrade to the neighborhood and to this particular asset. And I just speak again in support of the approval of this plan.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. Clerk, are there any other?
Mayor, we have no others.
Thank you.
Is there anyone joining us in the lobby who would like to speak in favor of this application?
Seeing no one, Mayor.
Okay. I ask the clerk if he received any notification from the public who wish to express their comments in opposition.
We received none, Mayor.
Is there anyone joining us virtually who would like to speak in opposition? If so, please raise your hand to be acknowledged. Once acknowledged, you may state your name and address for the record. You will be given up to 3 minutes to state your comments.
We are seeing 2 hands raised at this time.
Clerk, if you can announce those individuals.
Our first speaker is Aaron.
Hi,
Aaron?
my name is Erin Steppe. I live at 145 City Park Drive, Kansas City, Kansas 66102. My property backs up to this property that we're talking about, and I am mainly concerned with the safety of myself and my very young daughter, with 60 homeless men living behind me. I can see the trails from my yard, and so it just makes me very uneasy to have that situation behind me. And I realize that you're doing a good thing, but I also work in mental health. So I know, if I know anything about the homeless population, there is a lot of undiagnosed mental illnesses, and that makes me very nervous for myself, who I live alone, and my young daughter. So I just thought I would come on here and just maybe say that in opposition of this project.
Thank you. Clerk.
Paul Soptic.
Paul Soptic. Paul Soptic, are you available?
Yes, I am.
If you would just state your full name and your address, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Paul Soptic at 65 South 24th Street, Kansas City, Kansas 66102. I guess I'm looking at the safety of the issue, like the previous lady just talked about. And for brevity, I sent an email to everybody concerned, including all the commissioners. I hope everybody read it. I did get an answer back from Lauren Solidum. So there's a lot of issues that were talked about. Excuse me. And the letter from the Department of Planning and Urban Design dated December the 28th had a lot of conditions that were attached to the special use permit. And under 2B, it talked about debris piles being removed. And I just wondered if that included all of the debris on that was on the property that borders on Ridge from 26th to 29th. And part 4, it talks about the trails that need to be updated. You know, this Sanctuary of Hope got to be a destination point for a lot of people using the trails for meditation and prayer. And the same way with the Statue of Christ Grotto on the backside overlooking I-70 was the same thing. And I know Father Dennis spent a lot of time working with the public and using these for meditation and prayer. And I just think it's a shame to pull it away from the
Sir,
public.
you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. The second part, and I just want to know if there's going to be any inspections on the upkeep of these trails. And number 5 on the conditions was a safety plan that's provided for protocols. I haven't seen any safety protocols for access management or tenant management on this, nor have I seen any studies on asbestos or lead paint for these units. So I would like to see these cleared up before any special use was approved on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk.
Our next speaker is Josh.
Josh.
My name's Joshua Knight. I live at 145 City Park Drive in Kansas City, Kansas. This property backs up my property, and a lot of debris is back there. I get that, but not being very specific on what they're going to be removing. A lot of it is vines, and they do bloom and make it very beautiful back there. But also the upkeep of those trails, some of those trails do go through my land. I have a big issue with security. You're bringing 60 gentlemen into a neighborhood, makes me concerned about my property value as well. Because if I choose to sell my property, how is it going to look having 60 grown adults living behind my house? What are we doing about the nature behind our house? That's where I'm not seeing full clarity on the property and security. And I would like a lot more information on that.
Thank you. Clerk?
Our next speaker is Kevin Bentley.
Kevin Bentley?
Thank you. I, as the applicant, can answer some of the questions that have been brought up, but they were posed questions. Am I free to do that at this time?
No, we'll return to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone joining us in the lobby who would like to speak in opposition? If so, please raise your hand to be acknowledged. Once acknowledged, please state your name and address for the record. You will be given up to 3 minutes to state your comments.
Seeing none, Mayor.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing. If the applicant or petitioner would like to make any closing comments, now is your time to do so.
Thank you. Can you hear me again?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay. I believe I've caught all the questions that were posed, particularly about the trails. Upon submission of our application, a member of the UG toured the property. We've been working with that person to identify all the things that are necessary. Some of the ones we had already identified, but we've already begun doing that work, even though we were not completed with the approval process because there were just some things to the property that needed to be done. Restriping the parking lot, getting things set up for curb stops, working on plans for the trails. Some of the trail repairs already been done. We are not planning to remove any native plants or vines. What we are planning to do would be to restore the walking path to remove any unsafe obstacles. We don't want people to get injured on the trail. There's a wooden pathway across a small little wet area that needs to be replaced immediately to avoid anybody hurting themselves. So it's all about safety. It's all about the quality of the experience walking the trails. And so that's what we're planning to do there. The other debris, Mr. Sopcich mentioned the debris that was along Ridge Avenue. The debris that's along Ridge Avenue is trash that has been thrown there from folks who pass by. There's only one house down at the end of that street. It was formerly owned by the nonprofit Sanctuary of Hope. They've recently sold it to a neighbor who has reached out to us and has been a supporter. She's trying to get on right now and she's texting because she's a big supporter. She purchased that property. She also has a property on City Park Drive. And, we've even told her that our residents will work to keep that area clean. Right now, it's a dead end street by the city and it's not given much attention. So that actually will improve. The debris that was mentioned actually by the UG in the walkthrough was a pile of trash that somebody had dumped on the property when there were no participants in the retreat center. Somebody drove into the back of the property and dumped things. It wasn't done by the Sanctuary of Hope or the priest there, but we are going to remove that. That's the debris we're talking about. But regarding the safety plan, we have provided to the UG, and it should be in our packet if you want to call that up, or if the plan we have for alarms, security passcodes, areas that are going to be under camera and all of that. And we actually are developing a plan with our program for additional security measures And as far as whether that needs to be public, and I know I don't know what the requirement is, but we do know that Mr. Soptic is very active in anti-violence in the community and has a lot of subject matter knowledge. And I certainly would welcome any input he has with his expertise. But we're going to seek out some consultation on additional things we need to do there. So those are the safety measures. We have done we found an environmental study that was done in 2008. We have conducted a new one, and we're in the process of remediating the small issues that we have found. And to answer the other question, were there any other open questions? I believe I caught them.
I don't believe so. Thank you.
Well, there was one. I'm sorry. There was one about the men in the area and the safety of the community. We will know if any of our residents have a criminal record, and we have supportive services to help them. The one thing that's not known, as Mr. Soptic mentioned in the previous two meetings, with their homeless encampments in the areas, that's a complete unknown. What we have is a known situation with people who are there to support them. And so similar to the Shalom House that was on Parallel 13th, we envision no problems.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley. Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, we see one.
Sorry. Commissioner Ramirez. I'm sorry. Commissioner
Johnson.
Johnson, I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor. I remember going to the Sanctuary of Hope when it was a retreat center. And for me, it provided a quaint place to kind of get away for a day or two. And yet it was just a few minutes from where I lived. And so I have great memories of that when it was under the auspices of the retreat center. Now it is not, but we are dealing with this issue of homelessness. And we all know that homelessness is an increasing problem that we have as a community. And Shalom House has maintained itself quietly and discreetly at its current location, which is just outside of District 4. I know that there are persons that are in opposition to this relocation, and I want to let you know I do hear you. Most persons believe that we need to address issues such as homelessness, but the problem always comes down to just as long as it's not in my neighborhood. And I do understand that. The way that this property is located, it just provides a place that is very discreet in our community. And I am aware that the neighbors that live, directly around it are aware of its location. But I also know that I'm a proponent of assisting persons that are citizens of our community that do not have a house to live in. And also returning citizens that are coming back from incarceration back into society. And so I can't think of a better place for them to go than Shalom House. This is a long-standing organization with a good reputation in our community. I will say this, I do agree that the requirements that are issued by our Planning and Zoning staff and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission need to be enforced. And I stand by that. We need to do what we say we're going to do and make sure that those things that have been approved and required are in fact being done. I believe that this particular applicant has the capacity to be able to comply with all of those requirements and to maintain itself in a manner of decency and in a manner that is discreet that's the word I want to use, within our community and also be a benefit to our community. So with that, I yield the floor, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian McKiernan, District 2. If I could get Mr. Bentley to get back close to his microphone, if I might be able to ask him just a couple of questions for clarification. So,
Commissioner.
thank you. Mr. Bentley, my understanding is that this is not a long-term residential program, but rather a transitional program, which means that people who come to this program spend a period of time, but during that time, they go through, for lack of a better phrase, I'll call it life skills training, and then they, for lack of a better term, graduate and leave your facility to go to their own living situation. Do I understand your program correctly?
Yes, Commissioner, you do. As a matter of fact, our residents can spend anywhere from about 6 months up to a year and in the program, because everyone comes to us from a different place. And we, through our assessment, social service assessment, identify what those needs are. A few of them include workforce development to ensure that people get jobs, to get stable jobs, and that they get the supportive services to help address the soft skills training that they need to keep those jobs. Asset development programs, widespread programs to help with budgeting, to help with long-term planning, to make sure that people have the ability to leave our program and be stable, housing assistance, to be able to get into permanent housing. When the men leave this program, again, ideally between 6 and 12 months, they go to permanent housing with jobs, paying taxes versus going on the street. There are a number of other programs as well that our mission team could add to, but those are some of the more core ones.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's one of the things that I have historically liked about Shalom House in its former, well, I guess current now, but soon to be former location, is that it's not a passive situation. It's an active situation where the folks who come to that facility engage in training, engage in life skills development with the goal of leaving that for stable housing. Do you have any estimate of how many people you've served over the years at Shalom House?
I don't have that number. I've got Denise Ogilvie, who could probably answer online if she wants to unmute and answer a little bit more. She runs our programs, and I know with 24 men in the program at any given time, and considering we don't have any records before Catholic Charities took it over in 2000.
Mr. Bentley, if you would indulge us here, Ms. Ogilvie is now allowed, and if she can allowed to talk, and if she could give us some additional background on number of clients served, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. So we typically in a year would serve we typically have served about 32 men every single year since we took it over in 2008. When we started in 2008, we were actually serving more because it wasn't running quite the same way where we were doing wraparound services. But within 2 years, so by 2010, we were actually serving about 32 to 36 men a year with the goal of permanent housing. So, and in the most recent year, which was COVID, we were able to find permanent housing for all of the men that were living there, so that when we got to the end of the fiscal year last year, we had placed all of them in permanent housing.
So then it would be safe to say that you have served hundreds, if not low thousands of men over the lifetime of Shalom House.
Correct.
And would it be safe to say that the high majority of those men left Shalom House to a stable home situation and were no longer homeless?
Correct. That is the goal, and that is our long-term programming. I'm not going to say that some people don't choose to leave without the housing, but that is not the majority of people. The majority of men that we have served have gone on to get full-time employment and to be housed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. My final thing is for Ms. Ogilvie, Mr. Bentley. I would just ask that you be intentional in specifically reaching out, especially to your nearest neighbors. I believe Aaron and Josh identified themselves as some of your nearest neighbors. Be very intentional in engaging with them so that there is a partnership at the neighborhood level. With that,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Bentley, Ms. Ogilvy, for bringing the application before us. I will say that I do support this. It's, unfortunately, we have a big issue for our unhoused population here in Wyandotte County. And I will sometimes get complaints about our unhoused population, and I try just to reiterate to my constituents who do, they are still residents of this county. They may not be able to pay their taxes, they may not be able to hold a job, but they are still residents, and we need to support them in any way that we can. And I want to second what Commissioner Johnson made, his statement of, making sure our planning department enforces the stipulations and the conditions that are part of the application. And then again, seconding Commissioner McKiernan's last statement of, please continue to work with the community, maintain those relationships, because they are and will be your partners throughout your entire existence at that location. And it does not hurt to extend that hand and to always get feedback. And I thank you for wanting to take that extra step of adding possible more security planning for the location and extending that hand to Mr. Soptic and wanting to work with him on that. That means a lot because it takes everyone to help those who are less advantaged, who are less fortunate than us. Now, as a man of faith, I've always been taught and raised to always fight and to always do what's best for those who have less than I do. And so thank you to Catholic Charities, Shalom House, for everything you have continued to do. It shows, and I thank you for bringing this application to us and to those community members. Just as I was telling Shalom House, can extend those hands of support, can maintain those open lines of communication, because it takes a village. It's not just one of us, it takes everyone to help each other out. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I'll just say briefly, for me personally, for our family, we stay down the street from Eileen's place. For those of you that are unaware, it's a mixed use development for affordable housing. And I got to tour the place last summer. And since, they've been, taking in residents and tenants and things, there have been, I can't really point to any particular issues. And so I'm just giving for folks that are like opposed to this or, they don't know or whatever. And I'm not assuming anyone's intentions. I'm saying that you literally have a commissioner here who is living next to, right, a place that is, taking in folks that are on Section 8. And that's not to say that's everybody that lives there, but to say that there is proximity that me and my family that we have to this. And so, we are fortunate enough, for many of us to not be in the situations that we're in. And so I would hope again for a long-term solution, but I think as neighbors, it would behoove us to do what we can to help others. I love the fact that the work that they're doing at Shalom House doesn't just stop at the service, but that it is a transition right onto bigger and better. And so I'm in favor, I'm in support, but I just want to share my perspective so that you all are aware. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd just like to comment, as someone who worked for a housing authority in Kansas City, Missouri, as well as a board member of the housing authority here in Kansas City, Kansas, I can really applaud the work that this group has really put into being strategic, checking all the boxes to make sure there's wraparound services, to make sure that these unhoused populations get the services they need to be successful, just not in the short run, but in the long term as well. The collaborations that have been built and a well thought out strategic program to just improve lives. And that's something that this mayor can support and get behind. And I'm really appreciative of all the work that you've done to make sure that you made sure all the steps were taken that to ensure that these individuals have an opportunity for real success in our community. And as such, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Davis.
Commissioner Johnson, District 4, second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, clerk, please.
Roll call. Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrough.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you, clerk. That takes us to the mayor's agenda. Item number 1 was added as a blue sheet item, proclamation occurring Thursday, December 30th, 2021 as Dr. Bernard Johnson Day. I'll ask the clerk to read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation, whereas Dr. Bernard Johnson is an acclaimed and accomplished saxophonist and church leader who was inducted into the International Gospel Music Hall of Fame and received their Lifetime Achievement Award. And whereas Dr. Johnson is the first African-American to receive a doctorate degree from Southwestern Theological Seminary School of Church Music in Fort Worth, Texas. And whereas Dr. Bernard has performed before over 400 million people in America and foreign countries via his television, radio, and personal appearances. And whereas Dr. Bernard composes and arranges for full symphony orchestra and is the National Orchestra Director for the Church of God of Christ worldwide. And whereas Dr. Bernard is the president of the Bernard Johnson Evangelistic Association, and through he has personally led countless members of people into making positive, life-changing decisions for Christ through his concerts. And whereas other state legislatures have proclaimed him Entertainer of the Year and the greatest gospel saxophonist in the world, he is a native of Wyandotte County and the Wyandotte County Public School System, where his interest in the saxophone was ignited. And whereas as a Kansas Citian whose impact has been felt worldwide, Dr. Bernard Johnson has inspired thousands as a preacher of the gospel and a renowned musician. And he will be honored for 16 years of faithfulness and outstanding leadership. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Thursday, December 30th, 2021 as Dr. Bernard Johnson Day.
Thank you. Item number 2 was added as a blue sheet item, recognition naming Nebraska Avenue between 7th and 8th Street to Pandarama Lane. On Saturday, December 18th, 2021, Nebraska Avenue, 7th and 8th Streets was renamed Pandarama Lane to celebrate the legacy and positive impact of Pandarama Preschool, Inc. for over 25 years. Pandarama Preschool has served the Kansas City community, exemplifying quality childcare and providing preschool-age children with the level of education they deserve. Pandarama Preschool, thank you to the Harper and Sipple families as well for your continued dedication to the children of Wyandotte County. Your service is appreciated, and it's a great honor to have that street named in that behalf. Item number 3, resolution appointing interim county administrator. This will be the last order of business under the mayor's agenda, is a resolution appointing an interim county administrator. But prior to getting to that, and I'm getting ahead of myself, I'd like to just inform the public that with all the issues regarding homelessness, stay tuned, there will be a forthcoming, I'll be commissioning a task force to address poverty and homelessness in Wyandotte County. So that's something that we're all looking forward to. Getting back to item number 3, I'd just like to let the public know that the charter ordinance allows for the unified government mayor and CEO to appoint a county administrator with the consent of the commission. I have appointed Cheryl Harrison Lee, and I'll briefly read for the public knowledge some of her accomplishments. Charles Harrison Lee started her career in municipal government with the city of Gainesville, Florida. Ms. Harrison Lee holds a graduate degree from the University of Florida, a bachelor's degree from the University of South Carolina, and completed the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Senior Executive in State and Local Government program. Ms. Harrison Lee experience includes employment in statewide, regional, and local government sectors, as well as private consulting firms. She was a municipal administrator in Florida for almost 3 decades. Her municipal experience includes the city of Orlando, the city of Daytona Beach, and city of Titusville. Ms. Harrison Lee served as district manager for public transportation with the Florida Department of Transportation, where she was responsible for state oversight of various district-wide capital projects at Orlando International Airport, Daytona Beach Airport, Orlando Regional Transit Authority, and Port Canaveral. Her experience includes studying municipal issues statewide, nationally, and internationally. She was selected to take part in a United States delegation to Hong Kong and Japan on an international transit study mission to learn about land use, development, and transportation. Her work was published nationally in the technology and development of cost-effective transit systems in the Asian Pacific region. Significant professional accomplishments include master plan approval for a $457 million mixed-use urban entertainment center developing a plan for reuse of the Orlando Naval Training Center and annexation and master plan for development of 7,500 acres, the home for the Bynum Institute, Ramirez Children's Hospital, Veteran Administration Hospital, and University of Central Florida Medical School. She served as city administrator for the city of Gardner, Kansas, and led the negotiating efforts for a $14 million Hampton Inn hotel, a conference center, added the tax base in Gardner that created over 108 jobs for a $38 million industrial facility. Excellence in her service also positioned her in spearheading a $200 million economic development projects throughout Gardner, Kansas. Additionally, she led the city of Gardner, Kansas to achieve its first national award recognitions for excellence in the performance management by introducing the best practice, priority-based budgeting, and a new strategic plan. She was featured nationally in Essence magazine for accomplishments in profession and recognition by the University of Florida with the Distinguished Alumnus Award. Ms. Harrison Lee's professional recognitions and affiliations include International City Management Associations, American Institute of Certified Planners, American Planning Association, and the University of Florida Board of Regents Fellow. She is credentialed as a manager through the International City Management Association, ICMA. Ms. Harrison Lee has served on university boards for the University of Central Florida, University of Florida at Bethune-Cookman College. She also served as a member of ICMA Strategic Planning Task Force, MARC Sustainability Committee, and currently serves as vice chair for the Kansas Board of Regents. I selected her just looking at her resume because of her qualifications and because of my belief that this appointment is what Wyandotte County needs at this time to really address some of the needs that we have within our community when you talk about taxes, when you talk about investing in the disinvested parts of our community, as well as the leadership that's needed to really move the unified government forward. So at this time, do any members of the commission have any comments or remarks? Commissioner Davis.
I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Misty and the legal team because they have been working overtime. And so thank you all for really working behind the scenes and doing a tremendous amount of work. I mean, if we were all there, I would think we also give you all a standing ovation. I think for Wyandotte County, this is such a big transformational moment. It's not lost on us that we have the opportunity to appoint the first woman to this position, the first person of color, and the first Black woman to this position. This is a huge deal, and we need to celebrate that. And so I wanted to vocalize that and make sure that it is said. We are blessed, and I'm honored to be able to cast this vote in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Melissa Bynum, at-large District 1. I'm in support of the selection of our interim county administrator. I also am making a request that the full commission be provided a copy of the contract that we enter into with Ms. Harrison Lee. And thank you for bringing the name forward, Mayor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Kane?
Let Commissioner Ramirez go next, please.
Okay. Commissioner Ramirez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Kane. Just seconding the comments of Commissioner Davis. Tonight is a historic moment for Wyandotte County. You know, the first female interim county administrator, first interim administrator who is a person of color. You know, we always say that Wyandotte County, we do always say, and it is true, that Wyandotte County is the second most diverse county in this country. And we need to be proud of that and celebrate that. And I look forward to working with our interim administrator and making real good change for our people. Wyandotte County, we are a strong and stubbornly proud of where we come from. And we need to celebrate that. And I hope that Ms. Harrison Lee embraces that proudness and that strength. And so that we can all work together and come to the table as one and make some real substantial change in our community. So I 100% support this, and I look forward to working with her.
Thank you. Commissioner Kane?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, when we did the interview the other day, and she said she used to work in Gardner, so I called the former mayor of Gardner, Chris Morrow, and I said, Chris, can you tell me something about her? And he goes, snatch her up. And that did it for me. You know, I was so impressed with what he said that you can't see on her resume. And I just thought that was just outstanding. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution appointing Cheryl Harrison Lee as submitted.
Burrough, second.
Thank you. I have Commissioner Townsend for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Townsend, District 1. I too was impressed with the credentials of Ms. Harrison Lee. That's not an issue at all. So the questions I have are more procedural. And as the kudos have already been given to our hardworking chief counsel, I'm going to add, one or two more questions as a procedural matter, because I'm sure if I have questions, there will be others in the public, my constituency, they may have them as well. Commissioner Bynum has already mentioned wanting to receive a copy of any contract. I would be interested in that as well. So my first question to council is, under the current procedures that apply to this kind of situation, would the commission have to approve any contract? Is that within the purview of the commission or the mayor's office, or both? That's question number one. Question number two deals with what plans may be afoot for a full search beyond the position of interim. We are considering tonight a resolution that deals with an interim position or appointment from January 7th, 2022 through midnight, April 1, 2023. But that will be an interim. So what are the plans, if any, to conduct a national search since this is an interim position? Thank you.
Misty Brown, Chief Counsel, and I first would just like to thank everyone for all the kudos to my team. We appreciate that. So thank you. Commissioner Townsend, you've asked some great questions. And so I'd back up just a little bit and say that the charter, the code, and our code of procedures makes it very clear that only the mayor may appoint the county administrator with the consent of the commission. And I think everybody understands that. And as we have entered into this process, which is, somewhat unique and not something that we see all the time, we've spent a lot of time reading the code as it applies. And so one thing of note is the code requires that the terms and conditions of the county administrator's employment be reduced in writing. Past practice has always been that the mayor has always negotiated and signed the contract with the administrator. And I suspect this was done in recognition of the difficulty of a body such of this size trying to negotiate an agreement with someone versus an individual, and also because the county administrator is the mayor's appointment and reports directly to the mayor. But as you can see from the resolution that I've submitted, I have proceeded cautiously and included a provision in the resolution authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute an agreement with the interim county administrator so that everyone understands that this is the process that's going to occur. Now, once the contract is finalized and negotiated, I've heard the request of the commission. It will be an open record, and I will, of course, provide that to the commission as requested. Now, in regards to plans about a future search, I'm going to switch that back to the mayor because that is his purview per the charter to bring forth candidates and interview them.
Thank you, Misty. And Misty has done, and her team has done an outstanding job in helping us through this process. I just want everyone to know that I was really thoughtful in my appointment of Ms. Harrison Lee. Just looking at her resume, what I read to you all really does not do justice of the good work that she has done, not just here in the Kansas City metropolitan area, but she's known regionally, she's known throughout the state, and she's known throughout the country for her good work, especially when it comes to urban redevelopment, engaged leadership, which she has really touted to me during my interview with her, as well as her desire to provide servant leadership. That's collaborative, not just with this commission, but she really wants to engage and get to know this community. And that's what stood out to me. I can say that I'm confident, just looking at her resume, which is really, it just stands out to the point that that I was just overwhelmed with her level of experience and qualifications and the good work that she has done. When I looked at all that and I put it all together, it was an easy decision as far as an appointment for me to have someone that has connections both here regionally throughout the state, as well as shown a track record of success in a city right here in the Kansas City metropolitan area. As far as to answer your question, Commissioner Townsend, the plan was to make a interim administrator that would give both myself as well as this commission an opportunity to outline priorities for Ms. Harrison Lee, which she totally embraces. During her interview, she noted that. It gives us an opportunity to come back as a commission with this mayor to make an evaluation at that point to see where we need to go moving forward based on her performance, which it would surprise me if she does not meet or exceed the expectations that not just this commission and this unified government staff has for her, but also this community. So I'm confident that hopefully we won't need to get to that point. But if the point arises where I need to look in a different direction, there is a clause, I believe, within our contract where we have to give notification. And prior to that notification to Ms. Harrison Lee, I will notify this commission and we will move forward with a direction to do a national search. But at this point, I can tell you, Ms. Harrison Lee has my full support. She's going to need all of our support. She's going to need this community support. At this point, I think it's premature for me to talk about long-term, but there are things there that are available to both myself and this commission that allow us to basically do the things that the Unified Government Charter allows for us to do in regards to the administrator. And so those are the things that are there. I just want to reiterate my complete support for her, and that I would hope that this appointment would get the full support and consent of this commission, and that we get behind her and allow her to do the good things that we know that she's capable of doing right here for Wyandotte County.
Thank you, Mayor. And let me say again for the record, this is a process question. And it's not about any particular candidate, because as I've observed, I was delighted to have the opportunity with the rest of commissioners to get a preview. And this is merely a process question. So thank you for your response. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Townsend. Commissioner Ramirez, you had a follow-up?
It is a question I can ask at a later date. Thank you.
Okay. There is a motion and a second. Clerk, can I get a roll call for approval?
Roll call. Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to our elected body in support of my appointment. But more importantly, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Heron Lee on accepting the call to action that I had given her to take the helm of being interim county administrator for our great community. I'm confident that Ms. Cheryl Harrison Lee will bring the experience and expertise necessary to help our community navigate through the challenges of addressing an aging infrastructure, investing in the disinvested, tackling burdensome taxes and fees, streamlining our government in a way that will promote efficiencies, as well as enhancing your unified government's workforce in its commitment in providing excellence in service to all our residents. Tonight's appointment is one of many steps towards solidifying engaged, community-driven leadership, transparency, forward-thinking, and equitable visionary leadership throughout your unified government. Ms. Harrison Lee's work in government allows her to bring a deep understanding of how best to affect positive systematic change that I know we all seek to facilitate in the furtherance of a unified government that will always put the most pressing needs of our community first. I'm confident that Ms. Harrison Lee will help your elected body through a strategic repositioning designed to build a more vibrant, equitable, and resurgent Wyandotte County, Kansas. I can't overstate my enthusiasm as I look forward to working with Harrison Lee with you, as well as our community. And more importantly, I want the community to know that we all are looking forward to work with you on to make Wyandotte County a great and safe place to live, work, and raise a family. Stay tuned for further announcements from your hardworking UG staff as we work with Ms. Harrison Lee on a formal presentation and message from her, welcoming her to your unified government and to Wyandotte County in this historic new leadership endeavor that she's agreed to take on. We go to your regular consent agenda now. Does any member of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. I will entertain a motion for approval of the regular consent agenda.
Commissioner Kane, move for approval.
Ramirez, second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Roll call. Stites. Roll call. Stites. Davis.
Whenever the screen's switched, aye.
Davis again.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have one item under the administrator's agenda. Item number 1 is approval of the governing body's 2022 legislative agenda. I'll ask Acting Administrator Howes to present this item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the last item, we'll try and plow through this here. I think there are a couple of pieces, open ends on this that we'll try and close up. I've asked Assistant County Administrator, Ms. Cobbins, to bring this up on the screen as well. Maybe you can go to page 4. Start us off here at the bottom. This golden years property tax. In the earlier session, Commissioner Davis suggested in lieu of the first sentence there, including this language that UG supports establishment of a golden years property tax program, period. So basically a simplification of that, if that is amenable to this commission.
Thank you. Does any member of the commission have any comments or questions?
Commissioner Burrows?
Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. I would approve the rewrite for the number 15 golden years property tax. It's an issue of much concern in our community, and I believe the rewrite will benefit us moving forward.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, page 8, if you please. There was, on this one, the discussion around the public defender's office. So I guess just to see clarification whether this was something that was requesting to be included in the legislative agenda for this year, or if that's something for future consideration. Mayor?
I would ask that it be included in this iteration of our proposal.
Or other discussion, or I guess, is that?
Is there any discussion about that, commissioners? Seeing none.
Okay.
Continue.
All right. Let's see here. Move page 14, please. The medical marijuana piece on this. Just wanted to, I think, clarify as I was reading through this again, the way this is worded, it doesn't explicitly support medical cannabis or medical marijuana. It's the LKM language. So I think probably need to adjust that to reflect the commission's support of that. So probably a first sentence that explicitly states that the UG supports medical marijuana or medical cannabis.
Commissioner Burrows has a question.
Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you. And you hit right on it. I believe we should change the title from medical marijuana to medical cannabis. I believe it will benefit us better to have medical cannabis. And I believe we heard today from our legislative delegation as well as our commissioners that we are in strong support of medical cannabis.
Thank you.
All right, we will adjust that. Moving on to page 15. We did not, we kind of ran out of time here. These last two, removing active consent. You heard Senator Petty spoke to this as well, and the health department followed up with Commissioner McKiernan on the question that he asked in the December 16th session in terms of what that active consent looks like. Commissioner McKiernan, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that in terms of, oh, you got your hand raised there.
Thank you. If I could just really briefly, I was pleased, and the answers from the health department answered all of the questions that I had. And I am confident that the way it's going to be approached with this item would provide for full disclosure, would give parents and families all the options they need to opt out, and would provide clear follow-up in terms of how and when their data might be used and disaggregated, so de-identified. And so with all of the answers that I got from the health department, I am fine with this item.
Okay, any other discussion on that item? We'll move that into the legislative agenda. Okay, and then the last item, the tobacco tax. This is increasing state tax on cigarettes and other tobacco products by $1.50 a pack. This is one that we don't have in the legislative agenda now, and so I guess was it the will of the commission to include that in the legislative agenda?
Commissioner Davis has a question.
Commissioner Davis.
Commissioner Davis, District 8. Not to interrupt us, I know we're almost done, but I think at some point we should heed Senator Petty's recommendation that we condense this into a top 10, top 8, or something like that. This is very, very dense and it is exhaustive. And so I think it would help us to maybe prioritize and maybe continue having those conversations so that when we do come back and meet with the delegation, we can hear some updates on the progress of our priorities. Thank you.
Thank you.
So returning to the tobacco tax, is that the will of the commission to include that in the legislative agenda or to not include it for 2022? This is what we're trying to get to.
Commissioners? Anyone want to weigh in on that question?
Thumbs down.
Commissioner Markley.
Commissioner Markley.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess what's kind of odd about this is I understand the impetus for putting it in there from a health perspective, but from a city perspective, I'm kind of like, well, if they are going to increase it and it helps health, and that's great, where does the money go? And I kind of feel like this should address that as well. But that's just me. I mean, I understand the health implications of it and why the health department has brought it forward, but I think it's unique that we would support this increase and not make any commentary on where the money goes and whether we have any advantage from that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burrows.
Commissioner Burrows.
Commissioner Burrows.
I agree with my colleague. I think it's very vague how it's presented to us. I also think we're sending a message that we're willing to increase taxes, and I don't like that message. I just my comment, but I agree that it needs more information and a subject matter needs to determine where the revenue goes.
Thank you. Commissioner Stites.
Chuck Stites, District 7. Nowhere in the wording does it address chewing tobacco. And I think, does that apply? And with us being so close to other communities that do not have this tax on tobacco, I believe that it's just going to drive sales to other communities that do not have this imposed tax. I'm against it.
I think we have a sense of the commission that we will hold over on this and not include that in the legislative agenda for this year.
The question from our acting administrator is, does the commission wish to hold this item over? I believe so.
Stites, yes.
Okay. I believe so. I believe the consensus, if we can just hold that over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will hold that one over. I think that's all the open issues on there. As I noted at the beginning when we started this, we have finalized the selection on a lobbyist for Topeka. So I think having that may help to Commissioner Davis's point and others to refine this down to a kind of a top list, and then to Commissioner Ramirez's earlier suggestion, and one that's been echoed by other legislators as well, which is perhaps mid-session or at the end of the session to get a session wrap up, and then to kind of pull this forward so that it's in the September, October timeframe, giving the delegation time to actually work through, pieces of legislation that might be in time for the 23 session. So if we can adjust the calendar to continue to foster that collaboration and that conversation.
Commissioner Kane has a question.
Commissioner Kane?
Yes, I would like to meet the new lobbyist, face to face, nose to nose, toes to toes. So Alan, if you don't mind setting it up, that'd be great.
Sure will.
Commissioner Burrows.
Mr. Burrows?
Thank you, colleagues. I know that it has been expressed that we can meet again with the legislative delegation. As chair of the delegation, just let me know what dates may be amenable and the time frame in which you will be amenable. I will look at the legislative calendar and see if there's not an opportunity for us to once again meet collectively and discuss the progress we're making on the legislative agenda in Topeka.
Okay. Again, this was, again, this is item number 1 is approval of the governing body's 2022 legislative agenda. Are there any other comments or questions from our commission?
Seeing none.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve Commissioner Davis.
Is there a second?
Commissioner
McKiernan,
Kane, second.
District 2, second.
All right, there is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
This is Markley. Can we just clarify that that's a motion to approve as just amended?
It is a motion to approve as recommended. So we have a motion and a second to approve as recommended. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
The vote is 10-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. This concludes our meeting for this evening. I'd like to thank you for your attendance. We are adjourned at this time. Thank you.